All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday. We got a powerful jam-packed video for you today talking about what's going on in the crypto market, what's happening with XRP, with Ripple versus the SEC, a lawsuit update and potential ruling and implications. Also, blanket crypto bans, what the IMF and the FSB is warning in a joint paper saying that they won't work. And also the G20 is moving forward with international crypto framework. So on top of that, we're talking about student loans too. Debt payments, how that's affecting the crypto market, and then also the XRP price chart and some analysis for you guys. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, comment 777 if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, you know what to do. Confirm it by tapping the like button, tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, so XRP right now is sitting at about 50 cents, $26 billion market cap, Bitcoin 25,800, Ethereum 1,600, Dogecoin at 6 cents, Solana at $19.44. So what's happening right now in the markets as we go through this consolidation period during this adoption phase right now, gearing up until the spring of 2024 for Bitcoin's halving, coupled with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, deciding on when they're going to pivot next. There's some pivotal things happening during a time like this, and that's why it's important to stay tuned in, stay plugged in, and keep watching, because when we talk about XRP on how these changes are going to affect the price of XRP, inside the symmetrical triangle, the next break for XRP is going to be big. Now, what would that be based on, right? Because liquidity is obviously the main thing that makes the markets move. It's money. When you boil things down to simple fundamentals, simple understanding, don't overcomplicate it. Looking at this chart right here, this month in September, XRP could be used by the banking institutions in 3 more Asian countries for international remittances powered by SBI Remit. So when you see stuff like this and you look at this and it looks overwhelming, it looks complicated, it looks, like something big is going to happen for XRP, and then you wonder why is the price of, XRP not moving? It's liquidity. It's money in the markets. It's the market cap, right? Market cap is at $1.04 trillion. Now, what I want to discuss is what would cause the liquidity to move, because, announcements like this are super important, but they're not moving the markets right now. Now, when you look at Ripple as a company, they already hold a New York BIT license, which lets it engage in regulated virtual currency activities in the state of New York, as well as 30 money transmitter licenses across the U.S. And in principle, major payment institution license from the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is the country's central bank. Now, it was also looking to get an e-money license with the Irish Central Bank. And so Ripple as a company is just making these massive partnerships overseas. And the main thing that is holding it back is another thing is regulation, right? So when you see right here, this 29-page document from the SEC's reply right here, well, what's happening? Within the filing, the SEC refers to the programmatic sales issuing, by not by Ripple, but of XRP, known as a knotty legal problem. And so unsurprisingly, the SEC referenced the SEC versus Terraform Labs case. In this case, the presiding judge, criticized Judge Torres's ruling. The SEC also stated that the defendants have no institutional interest in the efficient resolution of this case, which makes absolutely no sense. An additional argument for interlocutory appeal was the intentions of the defendants to prolong the case so that they may continue selling XRP into public markets. Now, John Deaton responded to this filing saying, after a federal judge called them hypocrites and publicly stated that they lack a faithful allegiance to the law, you would think lawyers like Gerber Gruhl as SEC enforcement director, or senior SEC enforcement lawyer George Tenrerio would take pause, measure, and reevaluate how they present the SEC's legal positions. Now, Deaton went on to say, nope, the professional embarrassment continues. The SEC now claims, unlike Ripple, it is only interested in the efficient adjudication of this case, and that it is Ripple who wishes to prolong the litigation, thus wasting valuable judicial resources. And Judge Torres will now consider the merits of the SEC's motion for interlocutory appeal, and it's unclear right now how long the process will take. Uncertainty towards the ruling will likely test buyer appetite on how bullish people are. Now, John Deaton also posted this on Twitter, stating from Fortress Trust acquisition, their regulatory compliance team is unmatched in the industry, and Ripple has now acquired Fortress Trust. Very, very ironic.
I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Albert Fortner. He is CEO at Fortress Trust, and I also have Tom Michelina. He is president at Fortress Trust. Albert, a lot of your team have a regulatory background. So tell me, how does that impact the way you operate your business?
Yeah, so I spent my years as a regulator, 25 years as a state banking regulator. The last 10 as the banking commissioner in Wyoming, which, if you're familiar with that, Wyoming was a leader and tried to be fostering to institutions that wanted to be in the crypto and blockchain space. And so from that, I was able to see the industry, the crypto blockchain industry, evolve rapidly. But part of that evolution requires a compliant manner. You know, the move fast, break things, ask for forgiveness, not permission mentality has shifted a lot in digital assets. And so when I came on at Fortress, I wanted to make sure that I had as much regulatory chops as possible. But I wanted to find team members that understood and know how to balance both innovation and regulation. You can't have one without the other. You either get yourself in trouble or you just freeze and don't get anywhere. and so we're building a team up. I've got some core colleagues with me that we have roughly 75 years worth of bank and digital asset regulatory experience. And I think that will position us to be a leader in this space, give us an advantage. And then another part that's very important is because we have to have some strategic tech thinking, tech forward bank partners, someone like Tom, who's a career banker, coming on and managing those and establishing those relationships is also very important for us.
Judy, Fortress has a regulatory body within that nobody else has. We are unmatched in this environment, which is why we bring experts in like Albert and some of his folks that he brought along with him. So we're very blessed to have the regulatory piece to our puzzle.
So as the lawsuit drags on and Ripple continues to make partnerships and acquisitions, after the trial, there will most likely be an appeal on all issues, Deaton is saying. Hence, the SEC's claims that it wants faster adjudication than Ripple does might be the dumbest argument I've heard yet, because the SEC was dragging things out and made it way more intensive of a process than they need to. And it flies in the face of requests for an early appeal while asking for a stay. So when we look at the XRP to the US dollar price chart, with XRP sitting at roughly 50 cents right now, we see this downward trending resistance line right here. We also see resistance at 56 cents. So if XRP doesn't break out and retest this resistance right here, and we see a break to the downside, XRP could fall right around the 44 cent range. Now I did express this in previous videos, how XRP will move based on what happens with Bitcoin and liquidity and the rest of the markets right now, because the decision of XRP being not a security to retail investors was only enough to push it up to 94, 95 cents. So that wasn't enough to push it to the high of 2021 back in May that you guys see all the way back here, $1.90 something cents in April, right? It wasn't enough to even push it to that. So what would be enough to push XRP to the all-time high? It would be the liquidity flowing into the market, because we would need to see this industry go from $1 trillion to $5 or $10 trillion to see that money come into XRP. And ultimately, we would need to see way more than that come into the entire market if these price predictions of XRP go into, $50, $100, $200 out there, the other technical analysis traders are mentioning. Now, I personally don't think XRP will go to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and I hope I'm wrong there. That's wishful thinking. I do feel that it's possible for XRP to perform very, very well, and potentially, no guarantees here. Again, not financial advice. This is just my opinion, but based on the market cap, the partnerships, the liquidity coming in, the next bull run, I do think XRP could perform between $5 and $30. I do think it's possible. Now, it doesn't mean that it'll happen. It's going to take lots of money to come in, and with the macro market fear out there about a potential recession, potential World War III, that's what would be holding back the markets, because not a lot of investors, specifically when I talk about what's happening with retail investors on their spending habits and student loans and all that stuff, and how they're going to have to repay. On top of that, with the Federal Reserve tightening their balance sheet still, the liquidity coming into this market, it's going to take some time here. But right now, in terms of comparative analysis, if you're comparing relativity on is something expensive or is it cheap compared to other industries, it's unmatched how cheap XRP is compared to not only other products, but to other industries outside of crypto, like in the stock market. All right, the stock market is ancient, whereas the crypto market is only 10 to 20 years. The stock market's over 100 years, well over that, I think. So if we go all the way back here and we look at XRP in 2015, and we were to measure from December of 2014, right here, when we saw this rally for XRP from 0.004 all the way up to 0.0028, almost 3 cents, and we were to measure from how long it took for XRP to break out, it was like 820 something odd days right there, and XRP dropped all the way down 88% before it broke out of this range in the symmetrical triangle to the upside. So 825 some odd days. Now, if we were to measure from this rally right here of 2021 of $1.90 something cents to where we are right now, we're at about 878 days. Now, this is why a lot of people thought in previous videos, right when we were at about 825 days, post lawsuit decision, very interesting, XRP was rallying. People thought it was going to consolidate for 7 days and then blast on out of this range, which didn't happen, which shows that you cannot necessarily base the next move for XRP to happen to look something like this when the time frame is completely off. The rally was completely different. This is what was supposed to happen right here, but we did not see that. And why is that? Well, it's because the liquidity didn't flow into the markets. The liquidity didn't flow into Bitcoin. The ETFs are still on the horizon of being potentially approved, but Bitcoin ETFs, it's a race for that. Just like it was a race to who could pretend to go to the moon first, right? So now it's a race to which company, Grayscale, BlackRock, Fidelity, or among many others, are going to get the approval first, or if it's going to be a blanket approval that's going to approve sending the liquidity in this market. There would need to be some massive event to give the institutional investors, the massive whales, the confidence that crypto is that industry that they want to pour their investments into. And so what would cause that? Well, it would be regulatory approval for ETFs. Now, also, a joint policy paper on crypto was published by the IMF and the SEC warning jurisdictions against implementing blanket bans to mitigate risk. So for those of you that are worried about could crypto be banned? Well, the IMF doesn't want it to be banned because the IMF knows, when you saw the video that I made with Brad Garlinghouse talking with one of the heads and the faces at the IMF, and Brad asked the guy,
IMF, do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future?
Remember, I'm from the legal department. I'm supposed to be very conservative about these things. I don't want to go into great details about
Maybe
the IMF.
I should take what the IMF is going to do. I think we stunned Ross into silence with that one.
Their body language said it all, and his response basically said that, hey, listen, I can't tell you that we are, but something's coming that we can't explain that you're about to see here soon. That's basically what he said. Let me know if you feel that I'm wrong there. So just banning cryptocurrency won't eliminate its risk, right? A lot of people that are higher up in politics and the government that are anti-crypto say that there are, terrible human beings in this industry, and there's criminals, there's drug dealers, there's human traffickers and all that stuff. And yeah, part of that is true, but it's also the same thing could be said about fiat currencies, about the banking industry, about who's running this country. And so you can't stop that in any industry. If you ban it, right? If you create a fight against something or a war against something, what you resist persists. So there's no point in resisting it. There's no point in banning it. If you ban it, like whack-a-mole, like Bitcoin mining. How many times did China ban Bitcoin and then the miners just moved to mine in a different area? And so the countries that ban it, well, then other countries are going to be like, hey, we'll make it favorable over here so we get your liquidity to come into our country and stimulate our economy. That's how it works. So the policy paper commissioned by the Intergovernmental Forum of the G20 under India's leadership combines norms set by the Financial Stability Board and the International Monetary Fund and other international standard setters for the crypto sector in one report, which found comprehensive regulatory and supervisory oversight of crypto assets should be a baseline to address macroeconomic and financial stability risk. And so it sounds like a broken record because that's what everyone's been calling for, but the policymakers are dragging their feet because of the powers that be that have old systems in place that are tough to overhaul. And so that's like the SWIFT system having to completely change around, wire transfers and ACH transfers using distributed ledger technology. It's going to take some time. So you guys are early. The IMF SEB synthesis paper is set to be presented to the G20 this weekend, and it's part of a series of efforts by international bodies to introduce global norms for the industry, particularly after the collapse of the industry in 2022. And leaders of the 20 biggest economies in the world, are known as the G20, are pushing for a speedy implementation of cross-border framework for crypto assets. Now, several countries are going to be affected by this framework. Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, United Kingdom, and the United States, as well as the European Union. Pretty much 2/3 of the world's population live in the G20, in a G20 country. And that obviously is going to ripple and spill into the rest of the world, no pun intended, with the ripple effect. Federal student loan borrowers as well, too, when we look at this, guys, haven't had to make payments in over 3 years. So this money right here is what was coming into the crypto industry, too, because when they got the stimulus checks, hey, why put it towards your student loans when you don't accrue interest on it, and you could put it in the crypto market during the bull run? But now the long-standing payment freeze is ending. It ended already. Student loans began accruing interest on September 1st, so about a week ago, and borrowers will need to start making payments in October. So let me know, guys, did you take out any student loans? Do you have any student loans? There's so many people with $50,000, $100,000 in student loans. Now that when those payments start to go into October, well, that's less money to flow into the crypto market because of the debt ceiling postponement, that they need this money. So although the federal forbearance was extended several times in the past, there's no chance of another student loan pause extension due to a provision in the debt ceiling. And this deal was passed on June 2nd. So most people are preparing for repayment. Now, here's what the tentative plan, it's called the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2023, would do, according to the legislative text released on last Sunday. Right, so increase the debt limit for 2 years. You won't have to hear about the debt limit again until January of 2025. Now, interestingly enough, well, that year is supposed to be the last part of the bull run leading up to October to December of 2025. So that year is supposed to be the bullish year for crypto. We'll see, which brings the next deadline for the debt ceiling past the 2024 presidential election. So what they wanted to do is push it off to the next presidential election, because if they defaulted on their debt, well, the chance of getting reelected is virtually zero. Now, it's setting a 2-year budget, which is all non-defense spending will stay flat next year for 2023 levels at nearly $703 billion. Freezing non-defense spending is effectively a cut due to rising inflation. Non-defense spending won't rise until 2025, when it gets a 1% increase to more than $710 billion. After 2025, there will be no growth caps. Now, also, it's going to increase defense spending. Who knows where they're going to send that money? I mean, with Biden sending it to Ukraine. Tighten work requirements for welfare programs, restrain international revenue service funding, COVID aid, streamline the environmental review process, approval of Mountain Valley pipelines, and also codify the existing plan to end the student loan payment pause. This has been since March of 2020. But what the deal does not do is resign Biden's student loans cancellation program, which remains in the hands of the Supreme Court. So the House is expected to, vote on that. So that's big news. And we look right here at the U.S. debt clock, guys, climbing $32 trillion. The gross debt is expected to go to over $50 trillion by 2033. So over the next decade, this is why you're early here, and why it pays to be patient, because there's going to be over $20 trillion added to the U.S. national debt. Now, because we're in the blockchain industry within crypto, a good chunk of that money is going to be added to this market cap. Now, I could be wrong here, but when there's over 200 to 300 something odd trillion dollars in derivatives, you look at $30 trillion on the U.S. debt, the global scale is way larger than that on the amount of debt that's out there. And this market cap, in the stock market cap, is what, $50 to $100 trillion. The market cap of this industry is sitting at only $1 trillion. It's a no-brainer that when we go on here and we look at categories on the coin market cap, you can see that the top categories by market cap, when I sort for this, as soon as the institutional investors with these portfolio capital companies, Almeida Research, Almeida, the company behind FTX, interesting how they're number one in terms of market cap. Multi-coin capital portfolio, Pantera capital portfolio, Polychain Capital portfolio, Three Arrows Capital portfolio, Coinbase Ventures portfolio. What happens? Let me ask you this. What happens if BlackRock, Fidelity, all these other big companies, their ETFs, spot Bitcoin ETFs get approved? What happens to the industry? Well, the tides rise. So that's what we're waiting for next. And when we look at the Bitcoin rainbow price chart indicator, people are asking, is it a good time to buy? Again, I'm not going to tell you if it's a good time to buy or sell. I'm just going to show you data and facts and charts, and what you choose to do is up to you. Okay? So the Bitcoin rainbow price chart indicator right here, it shows, is this a bubble? Buy, maximum bubble territory, hodl, fire sale, sell, seriously sale. This is based on Bitcoin's log scale. If it's still cheap, based on these colors. And so where are we right now? Well, if I were to zoom in right here and how long we've been in this range for, where are we? Well, we're blue. We're at the absolute bottom. What does that mean? It's a fire sale. A fire sale means it's the best possible price to accumulate at long term. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to go up from here, because look what happened right here. We were at a fire sale at $18,000, and then we dipped even below that into a territory that's not even imaginable at $15,829 for the low. And what was that? I mean, they should have put that. What's below a fire sale right there? That's the lowest you can possibly go. Bottom of the sea. It's a Titanic sale. So $25,000. Could we go back down there for potential EMP, fake alien invasion, World War III, some event hits, the new closures where you can't hop on planes, mark of the beast? What could bring it back down there? Something. There could be, and I'm not saying that this will happen, but there could be some type of black swan event that would drop it back down again. But ultimately, we're going to work our way out of here long term, like we have in the past, if you believe in the future of this industry. Now, if you don't believe in the future of crypto, you probably wouldn't be watching this video in the first place. But this cycle is more akin to what happened back in 2016 rather than 2019. Because as you guys can see, during this rally of 2019 right here, we dipped down just barely to the fire sale at $3,400. And then we rallied up on out of here when Bitcoin went to $13,000. And then it went into the hodl range right here. And so the hodl range long term at $11,000, and we didn't see that price again until later. We didn't see this happen the same way in 2014, 2015. We just saw Bitcoin rally up, come back down, rally up, come back down. Bitcoin stayed between the fire sale and the and there was the buy. These two colors right here. Right? It's like a dark looking green. It's not light green yet. Dark green, dark blue. So fire sale and buy. And then it kind of breached up into accumulate. So once we get out of the fire sale, we go into the buy territory, then we get into the accumulate territory. So within these three ranges, we're going to be here, I believe, for the rest of this year. Even if Bitcoin sees a little bit of a rally, we're not going to break out of here anytime soon until Bitcoin's halving. So we're just getting started within these ranges. So it's looking very similar to 2015, 2016. So it's relative. That's why the most important thing to focus on right now is subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and backing up the truck all the way to the bank, grabbing the bags, packing them, stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because the spending power of the dollar is just going to continue to go down in value. That's a fact. And it's time to prepare daily, because blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology is going up in interest. That's the truth. And together, we're all going camping on the beaches of the moon. I will see you on the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com, where you'll learn our #1 way to create passive income online with crypto. As always, you know what to do. I'll see you on the next video. Stay bullish.